Whoa, there goes the camera. Hey guys, I just want to say thanks for taking the time to watch this video. I'm really excited today. I'm excited that I saved money, a lot of money, because I didn't have money to repair my head gasket. I had a great learning experience. I was really frustrated at times, I'm not going to lie. It's probably cussing and swearing a lot. But overall, I'm pretty proud of myself. So if I messed up or mislabeled and misnamed certain things, I'm sure when you're looking at the picture you can tell that that's not exactly what it was. For instance, anything that went into the opening of the radiator is only called a funnel. Come in different sizes for different reasons. All the bolts that I touched were all 10 millimeters, and I only used ratchets, no wrenches. You can also use an 8 millimeter on all the brackets. There's little screws in there, or you can just use a flathead. All the coolant I use 50/50. It's easier for me to remember. It might cost a couple bucks more. All the parts and chemicals and stuff that I got were recommended. I'm not obviously promoting any one product over the other, but you do get what you pay for. I am really appreciative of all the people that helped me do this when I didn't either have the strength or I didn't have the tool. So shout out to those people, and I hope you guys enjoy this. Thanks. Bye. And I'm poor, and I need to keep my engine alive even though 2 cylinders are going out. So basically, I keep getting a lot of misfire codes, and they're all completely random. And so my mechanic told me to clean my EGR and that it was completely possible that I could do it. So if I can do it, then anybody can do it. And I skipped ahead doing some steps because I wasn't going to record this, but because I couldn't find one on YouTube that fit my specific car and what my mechanic told me, I'm making my own video. So normally there is a cover that covers up the engine, and I already took. Okay, hi. So really quickly, the stuff that I used to seal my head gasket is some of these things. You'll probably use other stuff, but this is all I had to work with. Obviously there's gloves. I use it when I'm undoing pipes and stuff so I have a better grip. I've got random pliers and things to grab stuff with because I don't have the hand strength to take off some of those electrical clips, so I have to use those. We have a couple of different wrenches here. They have the 10 millimeters on them. Everything in here that I've done with the bolts are 10 millimeters, but the clamps on the hoses are all whatever size this is. But you can use a flathead, or you can use this right here, and it fits over those little bolts. This is really handy because we've already lost a couple things, screws down into La La Land, and we're able to get them out with this. It's a magnet thing. We have a no spill proof funnel, and that's for putting on your radiator to let the fluid slowly go down into the system, at the same time letting bubbles out. We had distilled water. We used a bunch of that stuff up. You'll see over here all those gallons of coolant because we had to flush it so many times to get all of it out. There's the Blue Devil head gasket sealer. We use Prestone flush and cleaner. I guess it doesn't matter what you use as a radiator flush and cleaner, but that's what I used. And having a light's handy. That's only because I've been working on this for a couple days and it went into nighttime. Got some spill pans. We have some more filters and a bucket that I use to transfer the fluids from one to the other. Then you also want to have a lot of these rags. That's so handy, way handy. And then also I've been using garbage sacks to lay on the ground because I don't have one of those roller around things you lay on. So that's kind of the gist of the equipment that I've used and my own awesome strength. But let's get to it. You want to be careful when you loosen this bottom radiator hose because it's going to come flying out at Mach speed. And I have still not succeeded in taking the hose off without spraying it all over myself. I'm not a mechanic, so I don't have a mechanic shop or a lift or whatever to prevent that or decrease that amount. Just for the record, I know you're supposed to have all these spill pans and stuff for every time you open up any pipe and coolant's coming out. And I have dropped it a bunch of times. But I have a whole bunch of cat litter. I plan on using that to clean up the excess that is spilled on the ground. But the rest of it I have put into containers so that I can recycle it or take it back to cost less because they'll take it for you. So I'm waiting for it to drain, and I also wanted to put in a plug that even though I don't have the actual manual for the 2003 Honda Pilot, I have been using the, this is the owner's manual, but I mean like the one with the schematics and stuff. I haven't been using that, but I want to let you know that in here it's really, really cool because that is where it lets you know where everything's at. And the drain bolt, for example, I didn't know that I could take out the reserve tank. Apparently it just slides out, which I did do. And then also you need to know how much capacity of the liquids that you need for in your car. So that's pretty cool because I thought the Pilot took way more than 1.7 gallons. Okay, so now that that's done draining, is because it makes it easier to take off the bottom bolt of this housing unit. If not, it's a nightmare, which we have learned. Don't drop any screws. We're gonna undo this one, so that way we have more room to put the bottom screw back in. But we need a smaller screwdriver because this is too long to actually turn it. So it really did only have 2 bolts, but we just didn't take into account the bolt that had the ground wire to it. Many people say wait for the fan to kick on a couple times. It's already kicked on once. I'm sure it's kicked on a second time. I know that different people have said whether or not to leave the fan on high or not at all, and I wasn't having any luck with the fan turning on, or with the fan off, with this gauge off and the fan out there turning on. So by turning on the fan in here, the fan turned on out there a lot faster. See, I'm kind of hanging out at 2,000 to 3,000 RPMs back here. Of course, the temperature gauge is not going to go on because we took the temperature gauge out. So it's currently running its flush. It's been a bunch of minutes, probably about 10-15 minutes. So I'm going to turn it off, and then we will flush the system, and then of this chemical, and then more distilled water will go in, and we'll actually do another flush to make sure all that residue's out. So that's what's going on. Okay, so now that the system's all put back together, we are going to actually do a flush. So I have some radiator flush and cleaner. It's what the automotive shop gave me. I'm putting that in there. I did put some water, distilled water in first. And now I'm putting the flush and cleaner in, just so that I make sure I got a good mix. Maybe you don't have to do that, but I'm doing that. So here goes 1 bottle of this. Cool, it still fits. This is a 1.7 gallon capacity, so I wanted to make sure I had enough for water and the flush. So I'm going to fill it up now, see where we go. I'm going to go start the engine. I'm going to make sure it's on high heat, high fan. there's the bucket that we put the distilled water and the flesh in. So now I'm going to go down below and I'm going to drain out all this chemical mess. Also, use glasses. That's one thing I've learned about this whole thing. I'm going to flush the heater core. Here are the two hoses to it. One right here, one right here, or here. You just take it off of the brackets. I'm going to attach a hose to it, shove water through and out to make sure all the coolant's out, and then I'm going to reattach the hoses. I had to bend the hose to get over here without spraying everything down. Okay, see it? I got water going in the hose. It's coming out the bottom, okay? There you go. So now you can see that hose below it, this one here. We had to unclamp it to get the rest of it, and there's a lot of coolant sitting in there. And then, of course, we reattached the housing unit, the thermostat housing unit, with its 2 bolts. We reattached this clip, and we reattached this gray clip down here, because those are the things that we took off. So I am going to now fill this with about 1.5 gallons of distilled water, and we're going to put half of this in because that's what it requires, since mine has under a 3-gallon cooling system capacity. I'm going to put in half of this. This is a 1-quart bottle, and so I'm going to put in half. Okay. Hi, today is the 3rd day, and it's bright outside, so I'm going to finish this head gasket sealing process. So last night we ran the diluted water with the Blue Devil head gasket sealer, and now we're going to drain it and then put the thermostat back in and then button it up and then be done. And hopefully my head gaskets won't leak anymore. No more coolant in the engine. Bad. So let's do that. All right, thanks. Okay, now I'm going to put distilled water into my radiator, and this cool handy dandy pot, plastic container, helps with keeping the air out of the system. So as it bubbles, it's burping the system, aka it's letting the bubbles out of the system. I think burping is a funny word, but anyways, it's letting the water go down and taking the air out. I'm going to finish putting this 1 gallon in there, almost 1 gallon, and then I'm going to apply the head gasket sealer. Okay, so we can see the solution is draining out of the bottom of the radiator. There is the clamp inside that liquid, so I need to get that out so I can put the hose back on. And then we're going to tear into the thermostat housing unit again. Okay, FYI, I know I'm going to put the thermostat back in here in the housing unit, but I also want to let you know I used some WD-40 and this brush right here, and I scraped it off as much debris as I could, and I also did that down here with the brush on the place that it's going to be attached to. Oh, you can see it better in the shade. This right here, I also brushed this layer out there, so when they touch, it's a nice clean feeling. Okay, so I really wish you got to see me do that because I'm really proud of myself. But here is the thermostat housing, and it sits like this inside there. That gold piece right here is the temperature wire, I guess you want to call it. This thing right there, yes, that's what it reads your temperature in the car on that gauge. It's hell wondering. I'm going to now put the thermostat back in, which is this guy, and he looks fine still. So okay, doesn't look like we ruined it. Well, we've been waiting to put it back in. So just so you know, don't forget you need to remember to put which way it goes back in, and in mine, this side goes into the inside. So if you look down here, right here, sorry, it's sunny. So if you look down here, and it's gonna go in like this, okay? And then that gold part is connected to this wire, and this is, you wanna make sure that you put it on so it reads the temperature, but it also has a grounding line to it. And when we tighten it back up, we wanna make sure that other piece of, where'd it go? Well, there's a grounding wire to that electrical thing right here. And okay, I'm really proud of this. Let me tell you really quick what I did. That housing unit, so right here, because I'm really excited about this because I'm finally done. So that thing with the C on it, right here, well, right here is the housing unit. I had to undo this hose, so it goes to the bottom radiator. I had to undo this thing with the gray thing on it. That's the temperature gauge. It also has a little, it's also hard, or it has a ground, it gets grounded into the housing unit also. On the other side, I had to pull out this tube right there, that tube, and it's all put together, and that's back in, that's back in. I'm looking to make sure there's no tools in here, because I've found some random tools that have fallen in the vehicle while I was laying all over it. And then when I get back from class, I'll be here to put the new antifreeze in and turn the car on and see what happens. All right, thanks guys.
There we go.
Okay, cool. Thanks to my neighbor here. Okay, so I'm trying to show this, but I couldn't with my own hands because my fingers are busy. But this is the top of the ratchet I was showing earlier. There's 3 parts. You get this one, and it has like an extension. And then there's another, then the actual little baby extension that goes on the bolt head. I don't know what things are called officially. And so now that it's down there, I can tighten it. Wait, let me make sure it's on the bolt. It's almost tightened, okay.
I found a Pokemon.
Okay.
Daddy, I found a Pokemon.
So a little bit more
Nice.
to go.
Hey, baby. Hi.
How old's your baby?
She is 10 months.
She's so little.
Hey, say hi, Phoebe. Say hi. No?
Why'd you keep it
Okay.
She's like, I'm done with that, Dad. Okay. So I'm giving him a couple more on there, and then we'll be done with this bolt, and we can put on the rest of the electrical wires, and then put more antifreeze in, and we should be done. Thank heavens, I've spent like 3 days working on this. It's been in sections, obviously, but... There we have it, guys. The finished product. As you can tell, the heater core tubes right there and right there are reconnected, and they don't leak. They were leaking a little bit. I had to come and tighten it. And the heater core, the thermostat housing is in place. Nothing dripping. The 2 bolts, the ground wire, the temperature reader, those are all in place. The other coolant hoses on the back side over here, they have been re-put back on and tightened down all the way over here. As I mentioned earlier, right here is the EGR valve, and that was cleaned out when I did the upper intake manifold. Real quick, just because I like to remind myself so I don't forget later. This black thing is the air intake. This is the throttle housing, and this controls the overdrive, and this is the throttle. So when people push on it like this, or you see them go like this, it's when they rev the engine and they're not doing it from the front seat with their feet. So that's something I learned about it. And also on the Honda Pilot, just so you know, these overfill tanks do come out. There's nothing holding them in. So major bonus. And the kid that had this car before me, he installed aftermarket lights so they blind people as I drive by. All right, that's everything. Oh, and because I lost my radiator cap somewhere in the process of doing all this stuff, I went to Cost Less, and I have a new shiny one that also has an anti-pressurizing thing. And so you just pop this up and it removes pressure. All right, thanks. Have a good one. Bye.